Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on a whole host of issues related to understanding narcissism, narcissistic relationships, difficult people, toxic relationships, all kinds of situations. The hope of this content is that it's going to help you better able to understand and navigate this territory in a way that leaves you blaming yourself less and understanding it more, with the hope, in this case, that knowledge is power. As always, if you are new to this YouTube community, and it really is, I often think the comments are where people learn a lot too, please subscribe to this channel. Just hit that button that says subscribe and hit that bell. We put out new videos every day. It's just a reminder that, hey, here's my chance to learn a little bit more about narcissism. So we've been doing a series of videos on the things you should never say or do to narcissists. It's sort of like it's a great bunch of things to remember so you don't step in it. As it is, these relationships are nothing but getting it wrong and saying it wrong. So this is me trying to protect you. So one thing you should never say to them is say something like, hey, doesn't everybody have to do that? What are you complaining about? Now there's variance on this. Things like saying to somebody narcissistic, like, that thing you have to do, isn't that just a requirement? Or, I think everyone has to do that. Or, gosh, it seems normal that they would expect you to do that. So let me give this to you by means of an example. An example of this would be them sort of, the narcissistic person banging around angrily. I can't believe I have to waste time and take this training and take this stupid online class for my job. It is such a waste of my rather important time. I can't believe this is happening to me. I have so many things to do. Why? Why are they putting me through this? It's not fair. It's not fair that they're doing this to me. I hate them. I hate them so much. And then you might gently say to this narcissistic person, I don't know, based on what I'm reading here, it sounds like everyone at your company has to do this. Seems like a reasonable thing to say. But then they rage at you. Basically, when you gave them that feedback, it's you suggesting that the narcissistic person actually isn't that special and should have to do the things that everybody else has to do. So in a sense, what you're kind of telling them in a roundabout way is, don't be entitled. And as we all know, that's not going to work. Entitlement is one of those things that very few people will admit to. Even the most raging, asshole, arrogant, in-your-face narcissist will rarely say, hey, I'm entitled. Somehow even narcissistic people know it's not cool to be entitled. But obviously, their conduct speaks otherwise. They believe that they deserve special treatment, right? And in fact, narcissistic people frequently use just that phrase when they believe they are being treated badly. They will frequently say, I don't deserve this, or I deserve better. Okay, sure, maybe you do. The narcissistic entitlement can show up in lots of ways. Their unwillingness, for example, to wait in a line, or follow a simple rule, or have to wait for something, or even having to wait for their turn, I don't know, in traffic. At a four-way stop, I promise you, the narcissist will always believe they have the right of way. Their ego fragility means that they consistently take their half out of the middle, and those shows of dominance that they need become like a bracing or a support for their constantly crumbling egos. But this statement, hey, doesn't everyone have to do that? That kind of thing you might say to them. You may innocently, for example, be listening to a narcissist who's going on and on about how they shouldn't have to take the extra classes for a training program because I already have so much experience. Why should I have to take the stupid certificate course? Or that they shouldn't have to put in an application to get some kind of license or something renewed because they already did it once, even though everyone else has to do that. Or they shouldn't have to fill out so much paperwork for a loan because they have been working for such a long time and always pay their bills on time, even though everybody who applies for that loan has to fill out that paperwork. Again, then you will say, Again, so innocently and so logically. But doesn't everyone have to do that? Like I said, you're going to be met with the huffing and the puffing and the banging about and rage or silent treatment or sullenness or resentment. And you'll wonder why. Everyone does have to do that. That is a statement of fact. Everyone does have to take that training class if they have this job, or they have to fill out that form, or they have to do that paperwork. Everyone. I was just letting them know that they weren't being targeted. It's not about them. It's just what everyone has to do. Why are they so upset? Now remember that the need for the narcissist to be special is their sort of hedge against their feelings of inadequacy. So when the real world rolls up and asks them to do things that everyone is asked to do, it shatters that sense of specialness, and that is overwhelming for them. So they lash out at whatever or whomever reminded them that they are not. I remember a narcissistic student years ago once taking umbrage with a poor grade that they were receiving in the class. And they really said to me out loud, they said it out loud. They said, well, I just figured since you know I'm so smart that I didn't really have to come and do all these quizzes and stuff. Yes, they really said that out loud. I didn't look up from my desk, and I simply said, the work is required, and the grade stands. The student stormed off, talked smack about me, and I have no doubt that they are currently wreaking havoc somewhere in a workplace out there and ruining other people's lives. Now, you may wonder, if I'm not supposed to say to these folks, isn't that what everyone is supposed to do? Like making it clear to them, what am I exactly supposed to? What should I say to them? Remember, it's all about phrasing. Most of our dealings with narcissistic people is about managing them, walking on the eggshells, and ideally disengaging as quickly as possible. The issue with putting it to a narcissist this way, instead, the issue with saying something like, isn't that what everyone is supposed to do? The problem with that is you're putting it into sort of a rhetorical question framework that forces the narcissist to face down the idea that they are like everyone else. By asking it as a question, in essence, they need to mentally answer it, and they don't like the answer to that question, that, yeah, no, you're not that special. You are like everyone. Believe it or not, and the thing I'm about to tell you may seem a little enably, you may try some statements like this. Things like, yeah, I know it seems tough, and it seems like just one of those things that's a real nuisance, and it wastes precious time, but you know what? Don't think about it. Just get it done. Keep moving forward. Or you could say something like this. Boy, it really sucks, doesn't it? But once you get it done and over with, you can pursue things the way you want because you have such good ideas. Bonus points for pumping up their grandiosity on that one. Or you might even try this. I know the system is just so unfair, isn't it? But you know what? Just give these nincompoops what they want. It's such a waste of your valuable time to fight this. You have so much more to contribute. You get double bonus points for playing into their victimization narrative as well as their grandiosity about how special their time is. You might be thinking, come on, Dr. Ramani, how are they ever going to learn if we all keep saying this? Everyone does have to do this. It is a requirement. How are they going to learn that they aren't special? How are they going to learn that they aren't the exception to the rule? I'll tell you, they're not. They're not going to learn this, not on your watch. If you want to take on the role of the raged at life teacher, then that's on you. And I get it. I understand that. They don't learn, which is why this epidemic of entitlement and rage and, frankly, violence and danger in the world at large keeps getting worse. These days, we can't even honk a car horn without fear of an enraged, narcissistic driver assaulting us. We can't tell someone who tries to just walk to the head of the line in a business that there's already a line without fear of starting an all-out attack. When the narcissistic people out there are grumbling about having to do the basic things that are the simple rules of life and how unfair everything is, shrug, give them some lame statement about it really is so awful, and then that you just got to get it done. And also, as a side note, this whole issue that I've brought up in this video can be particularly challenging if them having to do this requirement is something you may need them to do for yourself or your children or your employees. For example, a school form, a financial aid form, workplace paperwork that has to get signed and filled out. At those times, you really need to play their game to get them to do it for no other reason, so that you don't harm other people who have even less power than maybe you do in that situation. But framing it as that it's something that all of the unwashed masses have to do, and that's why they have to do that, it's never a good strategy with a narcissist. Some people feel like, but I feel like I'm being manipulative if I play into their victimization or their grandiosity. It's a fair criticism. And survival isn't always elegant. At best, they are tips. These things I'm telling you are tips to keep the trains running on time and to avoid the wrath of the narcissist, and simply saying what you need to say to get something done or disengage. But if you can avoid it, don't tell them everyone has to do it. You know it. I know it. They're never going to get it, and it ain't worth the fallout to you. Hope that makes sense, and thanks again.